Kṛṣṇa. In this video I am going to tell the 21st story from Kṛṣṇa book, The Gopīs Attracted by the Flute. So let's start the story. Kṛṣṇa was very pleased with the atmosphere of the forest where flowers bloomed and bees and drones hummed very jubilantly, while the birds, trees and branches were all looking very happy. Kṛṣṇa tending the cows, accompanied by Sri Balarama and the cowherd boys, began to vibrate his transcendental flute. After hearing the vibration of the flute of Kṛṣṇa, the Gopīs in Vrindavana remembered him and began to talk amongst themselves about how nicely Kṛṣṇa was playing his flute. When the Gopīs were describing the sweet vibration of Kṛṣṇa's flute, they also remembered their pastimes with him. Thus their minds became disturbed and they were unable to describe the beautiful vibrations. While discussing the transcendental vibration, they remembered also how Kṛṣṇa dressed, decorated with a peacock feather on his head, just like a dancing actor, and with blue flowers pushed over his ear. His garment glowed yellow gold and he was garlanded with a Vaijayanti necklace. Dressed in such an attractive way, Kṛṣṇa filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar emanating from his lips. So they remembered him entering the forest of Vrindavana, which is always glorified by the footprints of Kṛṣṇa and his companions. Kṛṣṇa was expert in playing the flute, and the Gopīs were captivated by the sound vibration, which was not only attractive to them but to all the living creatures who heard it. One of the Gopīs told her friends, "The highest perfection of the eyes is to see Kṛṣṇa and Balarama entering the forest and playing their flutes and tending the cows with their friends." Another Gopī expressed her opinion that Kṛṣṇa and Balarama, while tending the cows, appeared just like actors going to play on a dramatic stage. Kṛṣṇa was dressed in glowing garments of yellow, Balarama in blue. They held new twigs of mango tree, peacock feathers and bunches of flowers in their hands. Dressed with garlands of lotus flowers, they were sometimes singing very sweetly among their friends. One Gopī told her friend, "How is it Kṛṣṇa and Balarama are looking so beautiful?" Another Gopī said, "My dear friend, we cannot even think of his bamboo flute. What sort of pious activities did it execute so that it is now enjoying the nectar of the lips of Kṛṣṇa?" The lakes and the rivers are considered to be mothers of the trees because the trees live simply by drinking water. So the waters of the lakes and rivers of Vrindavana were full of happy lotus flowers because the waters were thinking, "How is it our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Kṛṣṇa's lips?" The bamboo trees standing by the banks of the rivers and the lakes were also happy to see their descendant so engaged in the service of the Lord. The trees were overwhelmed with joy and were incessantly yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives hanging on the branches. Sometimes the Gopīs spoke thus to their friends about Kṛṣṇa. "Dear friends, our Vrindavana is proclaiming the glories of this entire earth because this planet is glorified by the lotus footprints of the son of Devaki. Besides that, when Govinda plays his flute, the peacocks immediately become mad. When all the animals and trees and plants, either on the top of Govardhana hill or in the valley, see the dancing of peacocks, they all stand still and listen to the transcendental sound of the flute with great attention. We think that this boon is not possible or available on any other planet." Another Gopī said, "My dear friends, just see the deer. Although they are dumb animals, they have approached Kṛṣṇa. Not only are they attracted by the dress of Kṛṣṇa and Balarama, but as soon as they hear the playing of the flute, the deer offer their respectful obeisances unto the Lord by looking at him with great affection." Another Gopī said to her friends, "My dear friends, the cows are also charmed as soon as they hear the transcendental sound of the flute of Kṛṣṇa. It sounds to them like the pouring of nectar, and they immediately spread their long ears just to catch the liquid nectar of the flute. As for the calves, they are seen drinking milk from the mother cows, but as soon as they hear Kṛṣṇa's flute music, they remain stuck with devotion, and tears glide down their eyes illustrating vividly how they are embracing Kṛṣṇa heart to heart. A younger Gopi told to her mother, "My dear mother, the birds who are looking at Kṛṣṇa playing on his flute are sitting very attentively on the branches and twigs of different trees. From their features, it appears that they have forgotten everything and are engaged only in hearing Kṛṣṇa's flute. This proves that they are not ordinary birds. They are great sages and devotees, and just to hear Kṛṣṇa's flute, they have appeared in Vrindavana forest as birds." Even the river Yamuna, being desirous to embrace the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa, after hearing the transcendental vibration of his flute, broke her fierce waves to flow very nicely with lotus flowers in her hands, just to present flowers to Mukunda with deep feeling. The scorching heat of the autumn sunshine was sometimes intolerable, and therefore the clouds in the sky appeared in sympathy above Kṛṣṇa and Balarama and their boyfriends while they engaged in blowing their flutes. Another Gopi began to praise the unique position of Govardhana hill in this way. "How fortunate is this Govardhana hill, for it is enjoying the association of Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balarama, who are accustomed to walk on it." Thus, Govardhana is always in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord. And because Govardhana hill is so obliged to Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balarama, it is supplying different kinds of fruits, roots, and herbs, as well as very pleasing crystal water from its lakes in presentation to the Lord. The best presentation offered by Govardhana hill, however, was newly grown grass for the cows and calves. Another Gopi said, "Everything appeared wonderful when Kṛṣṇa and Balarama travelled in the forest of Vrindavana, playing their flutes and making intimate friendship with all kinds of moving and non-moving living creatures. When Kṛṣṇa and Balarama played on their transcendental flutes, the moving creatures became stunned and stopped their activities, and the non-moving living creatures, like the trees and plants, began to shiver with ecstasy. Kṛṣṇa and Balarama, in spite of their being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they played exactly like cowherd boys, and therefore everything became wonderful and attractive. While Kṛṣṇa was engaged in tending the cows in the forest of Vrindavana, the Gopis in the village were always absorbed in thinking of him and discussing his different pastimes. This is the perfect example of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The Gopis' only purpose was to remain always absorbed in the thoughts of Kṛṣṇa. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 21st chapter of Kṛṣṇa, the Gopis attracted by the flute. Thank you. Hare Krishna.